Right, this stream is going to be about this laptop, Acer laptop being refurbished. It is an old one, but it's built like a tank. I'm telling you this now. It is the Acer 8930 series, basically. So what's going to happen is full strip down, rebuild, service everything, put everything back together. It needs a new battery and it needs to be upgraded to Windows 10 with a solid state disk drive. And we've agreed a price on a 240 gig solid state SSD, solid state disk drive. And that's that. So let's crack on with it, basically. First thing first is that the back panel has been taken out, the hard drive's been taken out, and now I've got to remove the rest of the screws. So depending on how tight those screws are, let's try this drill for screwdriver, please. First of all, yep, it seems to be okay. So yeah, there seems to be slack enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fast screwdriver. Just make sure that they're various. Aha, right, okay, so there are various sizes in screws, which makes things an absolute flipping nightmare. Right, so what I might do is, right, okay, just have to remember the short ones on the side, so I'll probably put a little marker there, then S, because I might get carried away with thinking that. You probably think, whoa, what's going on? Right, sorry, I got a bit interrupted with a call from a brother. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, what my plan is, I'm not going to sort of strip the whole unit apart because that's pointless doing that. There's nothing on the other side, absolutely nothing that I can sort of see. So what I'm planning to do is take this video card out. First thing first, I'm going to remove the heatsink cable. Right, resume recording. Sorry, there was a phone call, a couple of phone calls and a couple of distractions, but these are nice, absolutely awesome people that I deal with. I mean, absolutely awesome people. Particularly the guy who, the gentleman, I should call him, did the amplifier, the Yamaha. Cracking guy. You know, God bless him. Absolutely cracking guy. All right, what I'm doing is I'm refurbishing this laptop. So I don't, as I said, I don't want to take the other half off. It's absolutely unnecessary. Thank you, Acer, for designing something where you can just sort of refresh everything just by taking the back lid off. I unnecessarily took some of the screws off, which is fair enough, but we live and learn, don't we, basically, like I always say. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my fan and give the rest. That's the video card. This is a dedicated video card, basically. So I'm just hopeful that this doesn't have a fault, basically, because these video cards do have a tendency of failing, basically. So did I just repeat basically twice? I did, didn't I? Okay, so the fans have been cleaned. I just blew it with my mouth, so I'm just going to go and wash my mouth and have a quick rinse. So just bear with me. Right, okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted several times with trying to refresh these thermal paste and all this business on these CPU and the graphic controller. So let's clean this off as well. Bit of IPA. Get rid of this card. Like I said, these cards have got a tendency of failing basically. Because they're old, and how long do you expect this laptop to last? You know, I'm even surprised that it's lasted as long as it did basically. These are no longer, I bet the components are from Japan and all this and that, so these things are like obsolete by million years basically. So if somebody wants me to revive it, I'll do it. I've got no problem with that, absolutely no problem. You know, for me it's just another job. Sorry, just cleaning this. Sorry about that, just getting rid of all the excess dust around this thermal pad basically. Nothing else that needs sorting out as far as I'm concerned. There's a bit of a dust here. Give it a quick clean. Now what I'm going to do is clean the CPU and the north south, I would think that's the north bridge, PCH, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure this will have a dedicated south bridge as well as the north bridge basically, due to the age of the unit. And the good thing about it is that back in the days you could replace each individual components if as and when they fail. Sadly, these days it's all embedded into one die, so that means you are FUCKED. You know, if something goes wrong, then the entire thing will need to be replaced basically. So now the ultimate question is, have I messed right? Okay, so this is what it's going to sit. That's how it slots in. So let me sort of put a bit of thermal paste on that one before reassemble the graphic card. Look how bulletproof this has been designed. Oh, hang on, I've missed something out. There's some dust on the back. That's been cleaned. So let's apply thermal paste. I'm famously known for putting plenty of thermal paste. I don't mind doing that. I'm a douchebag. I put loads of thermal paste, so I'm a douchebag. As if I give a monkey about anything, what others think. And when I say others, if it's a legitimate person who's making an opinion, absolutely. But when these douche critics, or I should have said douchebag, no, absolutely not. It won't make a dime difference basically. Right, so this is a bit of a tricky one that you've got to put this in. I don't want to disturb the heatsink too much because that can actually damage or affect the graphic card, so I've got to be very careful when I'm sliding this in. It's not going in for some reason, so it's stuck with something. Why is it stuck? Right, okay, I'll probably have a pretty good idea. Bastard, I know what's going on. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I don't want to take the back casing off. That's an absolute utter effing nightmare to do. Right, so I don't want to do that. I want to slide in the video card, and that'll be the end of it basically. So let's see if that can be achieved without creating too much of a fuss basically. It can be, but it's just these bullshit. Yeah. So it needs to be lifted, slided in, and all this business basically. But then you got two little studs here that are on the way, and I have absolutely no effing idea why they are there. It just doesn't make any apparent sense basically. So okay, right, where are the two screws for the graphic card? All right, the MX4 shelf life or durability is up to 8 years basically, so that's a pretty decent life. I have been busy today with YouTube stream basically. I've uploaded my 3rd video, and this would be the 4th one. Don't know what's got into me, but all right, well, I understand why they've done these little studs, is to keep that retention plate in place basically. That's fair enough, but could have been a bit lower than that, but it's just Acer chose to do what they chose to do. Right, okay, so quite satisfied with that. Let's put this back in, because that's I was hoping to dismantle the whole unit, as if like take it apart, but quickly realised that this is my stupidity, that you don't need to do that. You can actually just get away with just taking the back off, and that's not cutting corners. The service, the components that need servicing, refreshing thermal paste, is all at the back here. So what's the point of taking the other bit off? Absolutely zilch. This is a P series processor, old school, but it's good enough. Yes, I'm going to throw in a lot of thermal paste because I like thermal paste, plenty of. Because I'm a douchebag. And I don't know how to work around things myself, so that's fine. If people like to call me mad, crazy, whatever, let them. Just putting the tension plate back on. These are old school, setups, and new laptops. Some of the laptops don't even have any cooling. Basically, it's all just passive. There's nothing active going on, and the failure rates on them are going to be quite significant. So it's just a matter of time. Start failing in all this business basically. So we'll see. Oops, wrong place. That's that. Oh, come on. That's right. Wrong place. See, the problem is, it's a beauty of having gloves is fine, but sometimes, because these are large size, and I do prefer to have them that size so I can reuse them basically multiple times, sometimes they can be a bit of a pain on the ass. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put these screws back in that I've actually unnecessarily taken out. So let me do that rather than just sort of you guys watching all that. Let me just put all the screws back, and then we'll move on to the next stage. All right. Right, all the screws have been put back together. What I've got pending is the battery, which I need to order, SSD drive, which I have, and then I need to sort of resolder this DC jack. Not really happy with the way it's been done by the previous repairer, and also the customer's been told, yeah, you're absolutely fine, you don't need a battery, just run it off the electric, basically. Well, sadly, there's a purpose why the battery is there, and that is for portability. Secondly, that if you keep on running on mains all the time, the charging IC is under load at all costs, basically. So what you're better off doing is, if you decide that you want to run the laptop on mains all the time, just even if it's a faulty battery, just take it out basically, and just run it on. Let me just get this out. Run it on battery or whatever. Right, how am I going to friggin' do this? I have no idea. Bloody. Right, okay. The wire is too short. The loom is just way too short, basically. Very short loom. And it's on the other side. And to take the other side off, God help us all. It's an absolute utter nightmare. Right, so I need to establish that's the center pin. Look at how much of a cock and balls of this job that these guys have done, basically. Let me show you something. Let me see if, oh, no, I can't move anything on the desk because I've got a data, I'm transferring a data over. There's nearly 800 gig of data that's getting transferred. Look, so if you look closely, what a dickhead that's done the job. Absolute dickhead. The customer says it's not turning on. There's a reason why. Because the positive and the ground is shorting out, basically. So that's your positive terminal. That one. And I wish this stupid bloody rascal webcam could do a better job than this, right? Okay. So that's your positive terminal. There's a positive terminal. And there's a plate. There's another. That's your ground. And there's a small gap in between these two plates, basically. Which makes absolute no sense. So you should have at least put some heat shrink there to try and prevent this contact being made between the positive and the negative terminal. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you just about had that little quick glimpse. So ineffectively the plates are touching, and that explains why the unit wasn't turning on. So let me have a mess around with this. Right, this idiot which worked on this before hasn't done the job properly, so I'm going to have to rectify that. Because otherwise the laptop will come back and the customer will complain that it's not starting up, because as soon as the both plate touches one another, that'll be the same issue, basically. And for me, I can't afford to have people coming back like this, because one, that it makes me look stupid, and two, that it's more time, and I don't want to be spending unnecessary time on trying to fix something that could have been easily avoided in the first instance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a heat shrink and lift this plate up a little bit more. Wow, it's amazing how close these plates are amongst one another, basically. The other thing what's concerning me now is that I need to establish what this pin is. Right, let me try and enlighten you what's gone on here, basically. Okay, so this idiot that's worked on this and put this DC jack, what he's done is actually, you've got your center pin, which is this center pin here. Okay, that's the terminal at the back where the soldering's done. That's fine. It could have done with put in a bit of heat shrink, which he didn't. Okay, understandable. Rushing it, whatever it is, or doing the job for next to nothing. Right, okay, fair enough, right. But where these two are, okay, one is a ground plate, which also needs soldering for the outer casing, okay, and then on the inside the contact is for the ground, for the negative, basically. So your positive pin and your negative is just a plate there, a retention, like a retention plate there. That is the second plate down here, this one, that one there, okay. So sadly, I can't use my microscope because there are things that are getting done on that side of the bench. I'm not going to attempt to even move that. Otherwise, I wish I could show you. So you've got a pin here, you've got a plate there, and you've got a plate on this side, basically. This plate on this side is to cover the grounding for this bit, actually. But that won't actually act as a supply voltage, because that's just the outer side of the jack itself. Yes, that needs grounding, but it won't supply, because the actual pin that's going to supply is in the is in the inside, which is the plate in between, which is that one. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to put some heat shrink, resolder it, but make them both connected together, and resolder this joint and put some heat shrink and correct that, basically. And that in itself will resolve in a fully working laptop. Right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to measure. Just make sure I'm not dropping things around. Okay. I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the length of heat shrink I require. The positive terminal, insert this, and then once I've done the solder joints, I can reapply it. So let's grab some flux. See, if we do the job the first time, they've lost business, haven't they? This guy has travelled from the other side of town, basically, nearly 10 miles away, passing probably 100 of shops just on the recommendation, and he's here. And as I told him yesterday, I know what I'm talking about. I'm here to ask him about, and I'm not here to sort of rob his money by doing an inappropriate job. It's here, it will get done, and that's the end of it. And I don't want to see this unit back, basically. So I'm going to use this crocodile clip to hold the jack in place. Jack is fine. There's nothing wrong with the jack. I should have them in stock, basically. But I feel that's okay. It's just the soldering to that side of it has been butchered, basically. It's not been done properly. Just because somebody might have been in a rush. That's not customer's fault. That is not customer's issue. That is your issue. Is the heat shrink long enough? That I'm just it is. Yeah, perfect. Right, okay. So let's get down to business. You can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, where's my tweezer gone? Oh, for fuck's sake. Let's see what the state of this solder joint is, because I'm not entirely happy with it. Okay, all right, that's acceptable. I'm not totally happy with it, but that's acceptable. All right. Only because I can't take the loom out. For me to take the loom out, it's a full strip down, and I want to strip it down, of course, but some of these panels are clipped on, and you'd be breaking rather than fixing something, making it worse, basically. So for that reason, I chose not to fully strip the unit down. So that's saying that's been taken care of. And then let's run this heat shrink over, and hopefully that will be a good achievement. Let me turn the extractor fan off. Set the atom to about 150. I think 150 is a sweet spot for heat shrink. So let's do that. All right. Make sure that. All right. So that's one done. One more to go down. Okay. So, and this is where the guy has gone wrong. He soldered the wrong onto the wrong plate, basically. What a character! Absolute phenomenal people that are carrying out. And sadly, I don't actually kind of blame. Maybe you're saying I'm talking backwards and forwards. I don't blame them, because some people wants the job done for next to nothing, so they're kind of forced to sort of do things like this, you know. I'll probably use half of that black. I'll put black in black. It'll look nice. And let's put this back down as further as I can, so that right, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder on the inner side of this, basically, and then apply the heat shrink. So for me to do that, I don't need this now. That can go. The crocodile thing can go. It's a waste of time, that, I'll be honest with you. It's alright, but sometimes it's an utter waste of time, that. So let's get the extractor fan on. Flux. Just couldn't quite make any sense because the customer said it's not turning on and so forth. So I thought, shit, this has the famous graphic chip failure thing. Basically, these do have a tendency of graphic chip failing and all that because of how old the units are. But I confirmed it with him that there's no artifacts or anything like that, or power and then the shutdown after a while and things like this. The common graphic chip symptoms, failure symptoms. So for that reason, I'm quite happy to work on it. If it was a graphic chip, then cost would have been quite high. It's not even worth fixing. Furthermore, I would have advised him to probably get yourself a brand new laptop, because the trouble you have is when you're buying chip and graphic chip off from China, you do not know what sort of state those graphic chips are and whether they're new or refurbished. So for that reason, because he's he's not a local guy, I would have advised him straight from the outset that, forget it. But I don't, going off what he's said, I can't see it being a graphic chip issue. That, to my mind, it's more of a issue with this DC jack. I'm having trouble soldering this back on. All right, so I have done some adjustments here, but is that enough? I'm not quite sure. Okay, that'll do. Let's get the heat shrinkable over it. Supply a bit of heat, and that should just make sure that, there we go. See, there's a difference between earning a living and earning a living, but also enjoying doing what you're doing. Now, I'm not. I will only speak for myself that I enjoy doing what I do, and I make a living out of it. This is why, to me, every bit of detail matters. Right, I can switch off all the soldering stations, get rid of that. Okay. So I've applied, I'll just give it a quick clean with IPA. Make sure there's no flux residues left over around the DC jack. I'll show you on close up if I can what I've done basically. Just let me clean my hands with IPA because there's maybe a traces of flux on the gloves basically. I don't want to be touching something. Flux is dangerous. It's a cause of cancer basically. So we're all going to die at one day, but cancer is a horrible thing. So see what I've done now. Yeah? Come on. Focus, you stupid thing. It won't, will it? So can you see the separation that I've done and how it should have been done originally? But sadly, people just don't give a monkey. They just want to get it done, get it out, get paid, and that'd be the end of it. Adios. Move on to the next customer. Well, that doesn't apply to me, basically. Right. Now the question is that I have actually lost track of the orientation of that DC jack. I'll figure it out. Give me 1 sec, and I will figure it out. Right, okay, well, sadly, what I had to do is I had to remake off the connections, rerouted the wire. the ground wire coming from the top, and the positive wire had to go under this metal bracket and then back out through inside the chassis itself, basically. Let me just sort of show you. Oops, didn't get that. There we go. All right, that's what's going on. So one's going underneath and one's coming from the ground from the top, and that one's going underneath and back out again towards the left. So that's what's going on. Otherwise, I can't fit it. I've had to put a bit more heat shrink on as well. It's all this messing about that you got to do to get things right, basically. And I don't want to be on the stream for hours and end, basically just doing these nitty gritty adjustments, basically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to apply this, get this fitted, and then put the casing on, put everything back on again, and then we sort of upgrade the SSD drive. I'm going to run it for about a day before ordering the battery, make sure that everything's okay. Okay, finally rebuild the DC jack. It was an absolute utter nightmare. I've had to extend the wire with a longer wire because the wire was too short. Wow, it was hard, that. Really little thing, but turned out to be an absolute utter nightmare. So that's been said, it has been taken care of, but not really sort of happy with the length of time what I've spent sorting this out, basically. Really not happy. But sometime you win, sometime you lose, and that's the part and parcel of the job, is that you could very easily get trolled with something. But as I said, I'm not happy about it. Let's just do this, basically. Let's put my marking on the SSDs. Okay, so now let's put the enclosure on and then power on the device, and as soon as that happens, we're going to call it a day, basically. That's as far as I'm going to go with this. Obviously the full testing will be carried out throughout the week, well, up until tomorrow, and I might even decide to order a right. Okay, here we are. The laptop's working fine. I'm going to go through a series of burn-in tests and things like that just to ensure. And what happened was that the main problem was on the DC jack is that the idiot who did the replacement for the jack has actually connected the wiring on the wrong terminal, basically on the ground side of it. So as a result of that, it wasn't making, obviously the DC jack won't work the way it would work. It may have worked temporarily, but it wouldn't work, you know. Now that's been sorted, so I'm going to run it for a day, give it a nice polish, and once that's been done, I'm going to order a battery, basically. But I won't be ordering the battery until I'm quite satisfied that the unit is working and there's no graphic related issues or any other issues. So now I'm going to run a burn-in test and just leave it running for 15 minutes, and then I'll be using it tomorrow up until to a point where I decide to order a battery. So that's that. Yeah, that's all really. So take care, stay well, stay safe, and I shall catch up with you on the next video. Bye for now. Peace.